Welcome to the Opt-In Podcast. I am your host, Melissa Franks, and today we are talking about January distractions. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about what you potentially are getting distracted by and what to focus on instead. I am wrapping up the first full week back from the holiday period. And what's always really fascinating to me is what those conversations look like with the business owners that are clients in the business, with business owners that are looking to be working with us, and then always with a few of those business owners that are looking for like a tweak or a tune-up coming into the new year. And I've had the opportunity to have a variety of sales calls this week, meet with my existing clients, and have a few strategy sessions as well. The themes are interesting and are tied to what is actually happening as chatter out into the marketplace. Now, some of you are here for serious business topics and advice. And so the two names that I'm about to share with you are potentially names that you've never heard before. And that's okay. These are people that are relatively well known in what's called the online business community, which is online education and coaching. So maybe you've seen them throw an ad on Instagram or Facebook or something like that. If you're not familiar, it's okay. The two names specifically are Amy Porterfield and Jenna Kutcher. And Amy is very, very well known for teaching individuals how to excel and grow their businesses using email marketing. And Jenna, who was a professional photographer and most notably a very famous podcast host, and she taught people how to have podcasts that profit. Both of those individuals at the beginning of the year came out very publicly and said that they were moving away from things that had made them millions. Literally millions, and had contributed to making them known. And here is where the distraction comes in, because I, as a seasoned C-suite operator, have a pretty good theory about why they made those decisions intentionally and why now, and it has nothing to do with what everybody's saying. The marketplace, the people out there on the internet that are faceless, what they're saying is that their businesses are contracting, that what they have seen and the reason that they're making a pivot or taking a step back is because they've saturated the marketplace. They've touched and helped all of the people that they can touch and help. They've run out of leads. That is just absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense, and it's a distraction. And so because that was something that was coming up, that was actually a very real world conversation I had with a client this week who thought that maybe she had saturated the market. Spoiler alert, she had not. I want to spend some time today talking about the common distractions that present themselves in January and beyond, and what you should be focusing on instead of leaning into the distractive thought. The very first distraction that I want to talk about is thinking that you need to change your offer. All that an offer is what you are selling. So what you have inside of your business that you've associated a monetary value on and somebody receives in exchange for what they pay you. And so often when people come back from a period away, let's call it the holiday break now, sometimes it's a summer vacation, is their brain has had freedom to think about their business, and they come back in and they go, I know what the problem is. I know why we've hit a plateau. I know why we're not growing. I know how we could explode into the marketplace. I need to create a new offer. I need to change my offer. I need to repackage the existing ones. I need to rename it. I need to reprice it. I need to change the components and the bits and pieces and parts that it's in. Sometimes it's like, hey, nobody's buying it. Maybe it's too expensive. I think that maybe I've outpriced myself. Sometimes it's adding complexity instead of clarity. And listen, I'm not going to take credit for this. Alex Hormozi has said it, but being clear beats being clever every single time. So adding complexity, making your offers more complex is going to do more harm than good. And when you start to have this thought in your brain, I think I need to change my offers, what's actually happening is that you are uncomfortable with the process of execution. You are uncomfortable with the pressure that execution brings, and you're looking for a novel, quick fix. The reality is that business is hard. The reality is that every single client we work with in January, we say goal number 1 is to do it again. If you made $1 million last year, your first goal this year is to make $1 million. Then we can figure out how to get to 2 and 3 and 5 and 7 and 9. But you've got to first get to the million. You've got to first be able to repeat it, to be able to do it again. And theoretically, if you've made $1 million once, you've learned a lot of lessons, you've made a lot of adjustments. The next million that you make, so that first million of this year, should be a bit easier because you've already done it once. Now, some of you potentially went to $1 million by throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And so that may not be the rule for you. But often the reason that people come into January and they think I need to change my offers is because they are uncomfortable with the demands that the business has on them from an execution perspective. So let's be real with ourselves. If you have returned in January and you have said, I can't keep going like this. The business is asking too much of me. My clients are asking too much of me. The demand is too great. Cool. We've all been there. So what we do instead, where we focus our energy and attention, is auditing profitability and demand. We get crystal clear on what people are buying from us. We get crystal clear on what people are wanting from us and what they are not wanting. We're also getting crystal clear on where our profit, not revenue, our profit is coming from. So here are some questions to ask yourself. Which offers actually make you money? Like bottom line. When you look at that offer and how much money you get for it for every single person, and you apply all of the expenses and costs to fulfill and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which offers make you the most money? And that's on a per unit basis. I'm not talking in aggregate. I actually want you to look per unit, per human, per product sold. Then I want you to ask yourself, which ones convert consistently? Which ones are the ones that are constantly getting purchased? Which ones are the ones where you get somebody into the sales conversation, or they get in your funnel, or they go to your website or whatever, like that is a no-brainer. That's where you have consistent evergreen demand. And then the last thing that I want you to take a look at are those ones that give you like a punch in the gut. Those are the ones that eat up time, your team's time. Those are the ones where payment gets defaulted the most. Those are the ones where you have the most needy clients and customers that you could never really satisfy. Those are the ones that have the smallest margin, generally the biggest cost to fulfill. Take a look at those. And then what I want you to do is I want you to simplify. I want you to take the scarce capacity that you have, whatever that is. So remember, we started with like, hey, what's actually happening is that your business is demanding too much of you. Okay, cool. So how much can you give? Once you know how much you can give, then you say, I am going to double down on the top 20% of the offers, producing 80% of the results. I'm going to cut or pause the rest. So you are going to focus on the things that are making you the most profit, the ones that are converting consistently, which also means easier. And what you're going to do is you're going to pause, or you're going to remove the things that are really sucking your time, energy, and profit out of your business. This is a subtraction game. You are removing the heavy weight so that you can focus on the things that are going to get you the biggest bang for your buck with the time you have. Now, the second distraction that I want to talk to you about is marketing. And this is a slippery slope because the distraction is that you say you need better marketing. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that almost every single business has marketing as an opportunity area. Either you are not marketing at all, or you are marketing yourself in the margins, or you have outsourced marketing and you're not paying attention to it and you're not actually sure if it's effective or not, or you're doing all of the right things but not at the right volume. Everybody has an opportunity with marketing. There will never, ever not be an opportunity with marketing because the marketing landscape changes and evolves all of the time. You can't keep up with it. Also, I want to be really, really clear that marketing is an entire category of specific functions. So when people say, I need to be better at marketing, the next question I ask is, what do you mean? What does marketing mean to you? And then the answers can be all over the place. My website needs to be updated. I need to start sending a newsletter and I'm not. My social media is horrible. I need to do paid advertising, right? Like they could like go, marketing covers so many things. There's email marketing, there's, cold reach out, there's social media marketing, there's paid advertising, there's so many things. So when somebody says I need better marketing, often when I ask the follow-up question, what I hear is I need new funnels. I need new platforms. I need a new tool. I need a new CRM. I need a new email management system. I need new lead magnets. I saw my competitor doing XYZ. I want to do that too. I want to introduce a quiz. What do you think about me doing a free masterclass? I want to do like on and on and on and on and on about all of these various ideas of like shiny penny syndrome. What can I, this is what I want to do. They're just distractions. What's actually happening when you say that you need better marketing is that you want the business to grow. And you want to do that by doing something new versus fixing delivery or conversion. When you say I need better marketing, what you're actually saying is I want my business to grow and I don't know how. And so your solution is let's pile on a bunch more stuff and experiment with a bunch more things. What ends up happening if you have a team of people working inside of your business is that you distract them from the mission. So quality goes down from a fulfillment perspective, and the things that were working in the business stop because everybody's distracted on these other things. If it's just you, it means that you become spread too thin. So you start going and playing with the creative things and you're not doing anything else to grow your business. The reality is that if you look at the data, if you're not growing, what that means is that you have either a leads problem, so you're not getting enough people in, and then we can talk about how to do that, or the people that you are getting, you're not converting well enough, or you're converting them and there's an issue with delivery. So what we want to always focus on first is how we can improve conversion before we increase traffic. Because here is the reality. If your conversion, so all of the people that knock on your door, all of them that come in, if 10 people knock on your door and only 2 convert, that means you have a 20% conversion rate. If we just change that 20% conversion rate to a 40% conversion rate, you would double your business. You would double your business just by improving your conversion rate. So if you have people knocking at your door, and for this conversation, we're assuming that you do, the first place you should always go is how can I get them to convert better? If you're in a situation where you're converting like 80% of your people, you don't have a conversion problem. So then let's go talk about traffic. Generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, and I can't think of a business off the top of my head that we have worked with in the past 2 years that conversion has been fine and the traffic was bad. I just can't come up with one right now. There have been some businesses where it's like, well, you really shouldn't be trying to sell what you're selling because nobody's coming to your door. But if people are knocking on the door, that was the caveat here, it's likely that you need to convert better. Just yesterday, I had a conversation with a business owner, and she has plenty of leads, and she's not seeing the volume of conversion that she would hope to see. And all that we talked about was one tactic for how to fix conversion, and that was the sales process. The reality was that the sales process hinged on one thing, and when that one thing was over, no sales happened. This happens often in businesses. It also is true that you don't follow up. So you have a sales conversation with a business, and then you wait for them to come to you. Spoiler alert, they're distracted. They don't even remember they talked to you 10 minutes ago. They're not going to remember that they really wanted to hire you because they're so buried alive in work. So when you want to grow your business and you need to improve your conversion, the things that you should focus on are your sales process, your process for following up, ensuring that your messages are crystal clear and simple, and that there is a very intentional, specific lead to sale handoff. If you cannot convert what you already have, more leads will only create more chaos. If you cannot convert the people that are knocking on the door, if you cannot go from 2 people to 4 out of the 10, you do not need more leads. You do not have a leads problem. You have a conversion problem, and it can be solved through a variety of these things that we just talked about. I want to give you a very real example of this. In 2024, I had just started running paid advertising. In fact, I had my first sales call scheduled from a paid ad. I was so excited. And I was preparing for the call, and then I got an email the call was canceled. And I was heartbroken. And I'm like, it's the only lead I have, and I really, really need this lead. And so I followed up, and I said, hey, I saw that you canceled the meeting. Should we reschedule for another date? When are you available? And the response that I got back was, thank you so much. I accidentally scheduled it when I wasn't free. Can you do XYZ time tomorrow? I couldn't, but I could. And so I made myself available, and that client became the very first client that I ever secured from a paid ad. And that client ended up generating over $300,000 for the business. And I go to share that story with you because I would have never had that sale if I hadn't just followed up. So when you say you need better marketing, you're likely saying that you want to grow. And if you want to grow, let's fix conversion first, and then let's worry about traffic and leads. The third distraction is, I think I just need to hire. People come back in January and they're like, it was so good not working. I think I just need to keep on not working. And that's often because you realize how much effort and pressure it was going to take to get the thing to actually do the thing. And often this shows up in January because if you grow your team, it's going to automatically create momentum. Like, it's going to be kind of this like ego boost and this extra energy inside of the business. Like I said, you're going to hire somebody to relieve pressure on you. So you want to really start to be able to delegate and move some stuff off your plate. You want more balance or quality of life. And often what can also happen is that you spend a bunch of time thinking about what maybe you would like or what would make your life easier, and you begin hiring before the roles are clearly defined. So you get like super excited and you're like, I'm going to hire, and I'm going to hire these roles, and this is what I'm going to do. And you aren't clear on what your entire company ecosystem is going to look like, what roles you're going to have, who's going to be responsible for what, who has what authority. And you get really distracted by HR topics. The spoiler, you guys, like, I keep saying spoiler alert, which is driving me crazy, but like what I want to say to you is that hiring somebody does not necessarily give you more time in your business. What you forget is that you have to manage the person. You have to train them. You have to give them feedback. You have to monitor the quality of the work that they're doing. Just because you've been able to delegate work to somebody else does not mean you get all that time back. In fact, most of the time, it requires more of you to get the person onboarded and trained than it will over time. And then over time, what you're able to do is you're able to start to buy back a little bit of your time. So maybe if a task took you 4 hours, now that you have somebody else doing it, you get 2 hours back. It's not a one-to-one inverse relationship, and it's not going to solve your problem immediately. When you say you need to hire, you're trying to buy relief. You're not fixing the structure. You're not addressing the problem. You're just trying to get yourself immediate relief. In fact, it can create more chaos if you hire another person inside of a team that's already operationally sound. So before you hire, before you add roles, what I recommend is that you clarify the roles that you have. Who is doing what? Who has some capacity to take more work from you? What are the workflows look like? Are there any ways to simplify and gain some efficiencies? And where are the bottlenecks? Where's the business breaking? Because what you want to hire is to solve where the business is breaking. That may not be buying back your time. That might be giving somebody else on your team additional bench to be able to do what they do. You are hiring to solve bottlenecks. You're hiring to solve breaks in the business. You're not hiring to make yourself feel better. Now, it might be that you are the bottleneck. And so then in that case, you will benefit long term. But this is something that I want you to be very clear about, that this is not just how can I relieve pressure on me? This is what's best for the business. So what you want to look at is what's actually breaking. Where are the bottlenecks really? Where is work getting stuck? Where is client fulfillment failing? Where are people complaining? What decisions are you, the founder, making that you shouldn't be making? Really take a look at the rhythm of the business and determine what's just not appropriate or not optimal. And then you want to bring in additional capacity to address those breakpoints. All that you're going to do if you hire without clarity is amplify inefficiency. You have to fix the system before you introduce people or automation. It's just necessary. If you try to automate something that's broken, it's going to continue to be broken. It's just going to be broken faster. And if you bring somebody into a system that is not working, all it's going to do is make it not work in a more complex way. Distraction number 4 is, we need to do something different this year. Have you ever said that to yourself? I am seeing less of the new year, new you energy. However, as I have said, I have had a lot of conversations this week already and an inordinate amount of sales calls scheduled. Thank you, all of you. And what this new year energy is bringing, and also, frankly, if you don't believe in this, you don't, but I have this feeling that as people have really, really leaned into, last year was the year of the snake, this is the year of the fire horse, this energy is coming. We're getting all of this new year energy in all of the ways. So I've had a few people say I've gotta get in front of the year of the fire horse, and it starts in February, so here's where I am. Okay, well, this shows up by you thinking you need a new direction, you need a new strategy, you need an identity, you want to make big pivots without any proof that it's the right thing to make. You want to upend your business model. Now, we could go back to this Amy Porterfield, Jenna Kutcher thing that I opened with at the beginning. They're making big moves. Now, I tend to think, because of how big their businesses are, that this was well thought out. I tend to think that they have somebody like me or my team that is sitting side by side with them, and they've actually done the thinking, and I have theories, as I said, about why they're making the shifts that they're making, and I actually don't think it's the worst idea. But this is a little bit of what's happening. So what I'm seeing happen now as a result of that is these bigwigs that people aspire to be are hey, we're making a pivot, and they're I need to make a pivot too. Don't fix something that is not broken. So when you want to do something different this year, when you want a new direction or a new strategy, often what's actually happening is that you're bored, or you're frustrated, or you're exhausted. And it's not that your business is broken. In fact, your business is probably very healthy. It's just that you can't fathom spending another year like the one you just had. And this focus is going to potentially be the most painful one I'm going to give you out of all of them today. You need to do the boring things more consistently and better. It is the boring things in your business that grow your business. It is the boring things in business that build your reputation. It is the boring things in business that you have satisfied customers and clients. What this means, what you need to focus on instead of changing strategy and changing direction and switching things up, is you need to be laser focused on what you and your team are going to execute every week. You are going to be really, really clear on the performance indicators that you are going to measure and the targets that you have in the business. You're going to have simple, reliable accountability, rhythms, and metrics. And most importantly, you are going to have a culture of follow through in your business. You are going to make a commitment and see it through to the end. The team is going to make a commitment and see it through until the end. If you're going to do something, you're going to do it. Most businesses do not need a brand new strategy or a new direction or a new identity. What they need is better discipline. So if you're thinking that you need to do something different this year, that something different might be delivering excellence for the bits and pieces of your business that are critical, to keep it intact and growing long term. Now, on the heels of that, distraction number 5 is I need to rethink the whole business. This is because you took a break and you probably got some feedback from Uncle John at the holiday dinner table, and you've had a bit of distance from the day-to-day, and you have some doubt that crept in. Maybe you have some limiting beliefs that crept back in. And now that you're back, now that you're in, what's actually happening is you have re-entry shock. You have a reckoning day between what rest felt like and what responsibility feels like. And rest was easy. Responsibility is heavy. It is difficult to go from a period of inaction to action. It can feel like a Herculean effort to get back in the game. And that's what you're experiencing right now. So what you have to do is ground yourself in facts. You need to focus on operational reality, and you need to separate yourself from your emotional, how you are feeling, reality. The best way to do this is to start to ask yourself questions and audit your business. You almost take a step back as if you were somebody else looking at it. And you can say, what's not working here? What was a problem last year? What was broken last year? What is working, but it's being ignored? So what are the things that we really should be doing? We're just not paying enough attention to them. We don't have somebody assigned to it. It's like happening in the margins. And most importantly, when you have those two lists, then you want to say, what evidence do I have that this is true? What data supports this concern? If you cannot prove it with evidence that you could bring, I'm quoting Macy McNeely right now from the Sales Girls, if you have a concern that you have documented and you cannot prove it with evidence that you could bring into a court of law and would be accepted as fact, it's just drama. So I want you to ask yourself, what's not working? What's working but being ignored? And then what data, what information, what evidence do you have to support the concern? What you're going to realize is that there are a few things that are not working that you can address, but most of the doubt that you've seeded in yourself is not based in reality. Absolutely, your feelings are important. They are information. What they are not is instructions. You need to use data, evidence, facts to ground decisions. Long-term businesses that scale and stay in the game leverage data to steer them, not emotions. Now, if you took a break in December, or you significantly slowed down during the holiday period, one of the things you may be saying, which is distraction number 6, is you are already behind. If you are feeling behind, if you are seeing people do things and make moves and you're like, oh my gosh, I missed my opportunity, you are creating panic decisions, overloaded to-do lists, and unrealistic January expectations. When you say, we're behind already, what's actually happening is that you're confusing calendar pressure with performance failure. Just because time is compressed does not mean you're doing a bad job. So stop telling yourself that you are. What you want to focus on instead is creating a realistic first quarter execution rhythm. If you are feeling calendar pressure, you want to identify the top priorities, create fewer, more impactful ones. Create clear weekly goals for you and your team. And then above all else, protect focused work time. That's it. That will eliminate the feeling that you are behind by getting laser focused on your priorities, setting weekly goals, and protecting your focused time. Momentum is built, not declared. It is evidenced in action, not thoughts. And then distraction number 7, which is the last one, is that you think you should be further along. You spent your holiday period with your friends and family, resting, enjoying your life. And you also probably spent it scrolling. You probably went out there and looked at the competitors. You probably couldn't avoid that some of them were still working during the holiday period. And when you come back to reality and you have been fed information, you've been given opinions by your family, you have made your own assumptions based off of what you are seeing, the comparison trap can show up really heavily in January, especially if you set a goal and you didn't quite make it last year. What's actually happening is that you are benchmarking against curated narratives instead of real businesses. The reality is that small businesses are privately held. It means that their information is not available to the internet. It's not available to the public. So what you're doing is you are taking context clues from whatever you can cobble together, which are curated narratives, and you're comparing them to your reality. You're not comparing them to real life. This is just like those families that post like the amazingly beautiful family photo, and what you don't see is all of the outtakes of the kids having like absolute meltdowns during the photo shoot, and that everybody had to change their outfits 3 times because the kids kept getting muddy, and the screaming and yelling and threats and like Santa's not going to come and all that stuff, right? You just see this beautiful, pristine, happy family photo. That's what's happening when you compare yourself to others, when you are in an environment where all of the data is kept private and people choose what they put out into the marketplace. So what I want you to focus on instead, if this is you, is I want you to focus on measuring progress against your constraints. That's it. What I want you to focus on is your team size and cash flow and capacity and seasonality. And I want you to put your head down and focus on your game. Strong founders and strong operators play their own game, not someone else's highlight reel. You are laser focused. This is what my offense and my defense is going to look like, and I'm just going to run the plays. You know your game best. Do not get distracted by what somebody else is curating and putting out as a highlight reel into the marketplace. It's not going to serve you. So what does all of this mean? January is often when businesses get distracted by reinvention activities and they fail to execute. And when that happens, you actually start to fall behind. The reality is that your business isn't broken. Your focus is. So don't abandon the very things that can actually make you money. Instead, identify them and double down and get laser focused. Define the rules of the game for you and play it like it's your last game on the planet. I hope this was helpful to you. We are going to be sharing more episodes like this throughout the year, where we're going to talk about things that are happening real and live from client conversations and other conversations that we are having. And what is really, really cool is that this platform is now getting augmented by a long form platform over on Substack. So what we have identified is that there is more that we want to share and give you a variety of responding to current events and what's happening in the marketplace and some case studies. And we can't do all of that here. We also know that not everybody loves to listen. So in the show notes, you will have the link to our new Substack home where our long form is going to live. We would love for you to come over and subscribe and join that community. And of course, please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. We're going to continue to do great things over here and give you free, actionable tactics so that you can have the business that you've always dreamed of. Until next time, friends, please know that you are wise and you are strong and you are capable, and I believe in you.